They call this America's Dairyland.
Why is it that I like all the cheeses that have little bugs that take craps in it? Holy macaroni!
There's a lot more to the food scene here in Wisconsin than usually meets the eye.
And you can see that's food in her stomach.
Wisconsin welcomes exploration.
Oh my God!
People here are looking for new ways to work with familiar foods.
And anyone would recognize that flavor. It's an old, spoiled sandwich in a good way.
And looking for new food to try in unexpected ways.
I've never had a grilled emu testicle before.
Changing times have put some traditions under pressure.
Oh my gosh!
And all but wiped out others. People here don't easily give up on the traditional things they care most about.
We made something called Awful Tasty, which is what's called the guts. God bless you.
To me, the great benefit is that all of these little bits of fish offal are basically cooking in its own fat. It's your birthday. You want the rest of the brain?
This is Wisconsin, finding new paths for doing things the old-fashioned way.
If for some reason I turn into a human firework.
I'm Andrew Zimmern, and this is Bizarre Foods America.
That was awesome.
Wisconsin is the national leader in cheese production. Second when it comes to milk and butter. The entire state is devoted to preserving Wisconsin's reputation as America's Dairyland. From one of the world's top academic institutions to the small craft cheesemaker, they are dedicated, some would say obsessed, about making the finest quality dairy products. And it all starts with the animals.
Wow, those are some impressive cows.
These are some of the better cows that you're going to find.
The University of Wisconsin at Madison operates its own dairy plant and farm as a laboratory for studying the science of milk production. Professor David Combs is a bovine nutritionist.
What you give the animals affects what comes out of the animals. And
Exactly. We know that grazing cattle,
Right.
for example, the milk, the color, the texture, the taste of that milk is quite different than if they're fed just basically stored feeds.
Of course.
To study differences in how cows digest grass versus other feeds, we're going where Bizarre Foods has never gone before. Inside a cow's stomach.
So this is one of those cows with the portal in the side. And
Is there a technical term for this?
this is called a cannula.
Cannula.
Yeah, that's the plastic device.
So would this be a cannulated
A cannulated cow, you're
cow?
right. Her stomach is huge. This is actually a real stomach that was taken out of a 1,000-pound animal. She holds 30 to 40 gallons of feed in her stomach, and it basically covers about 2/3 of her abdominal cavity here.
And it's multiple compartments.
4 compartments.
Just so you know, the cannula doesn't hurt the cow. And what we're about to do next doesn't hurt the cow either.
This is the double layer. This makes it a little easier to clean up.
There we go.
Researchers don't just look into the cow's stomach, they reach inside to explore.
It's really a fairly simple thing. We're just going to go right in
Yep.
here. The stomach
Release
comes
the
right
ring.
up to the body wall.
Yep.
And so this thing is open to put them in. And that's basically her day's supply of food.
It's very ripe smelling.
It's strong.
It's very tart with the acids, and you can see that's food in her stomach.
This direct access allows the scientists to extract and study the microorganisms working in the stomachs. The analysis helps dairy farmers identify which feeds are best for their herds, from meat cows to dairy cows.
Whoa! Oh my God! You have to dig with your hand to get in there. You can feel her turning over the food. It's almost like a conveyor belt in there.
Yeah.
And then that's
That's the stuff.
That stuff is crawling with nearly 1,000 types of bacteria, and the bacterial profile changes depending on what the cow eats. For example, this gut flora is what gives milk its unique color and flavor.
If you look over here, that was what was in her stomach I just took out. If you look closely, you can see bubbles and things coming up. That's the bacteria as it
Creates
chewing
gas.
that feed up,
Yeah.
continues to kind of do the digestion process as even
This
though it's
is
sitting
alive.
outside. This is alive.
This is alive.
Over the years, I've eaten plenty of cow stomachs.
You have the tripe. Look at that.
That looks like tripe.
Now, with help from a light in a plastic bag, I can see one while it's alive and working.
You can see the bumps, the rough tissue on the side. Those are actually little organs that are absorbing all those nutrients.
I've eaten those before.
What's happening in the stomach will determine what kind of milk a cow gives. That's what interests Mark Johnson. He's a professor of food science, interested in the differences between grain and grass-fed milk, cheese, and butter.
So what's the difference here?
I'm going to give you a 2% milk that's just off the shelf. It's not
Right.
been made directly from grazed milk.
This is the control.
This is the control. It's going to be sweet,
Yeah.
sweet, nothing else. So,
Yeah.
right?
This is what we have, generically speaking, most of the time in the house, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what's this stuff?
This is made from animals or cows that have been on grass.
This is a farm about 20 miles up the road here.
Right. Wait. It's going to be subtle.
It's night and day. It is very soft and subtle across the front. You get a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of hay. This is delicious.
Yep.
The pasture-grazed milk has a more distinctive flavor profile, and the deeper colored grass-fed butter and cheese follow suit.
Oh, yeah, look at this.
Look at the difference.
Yeah.
This is natural color.
This is special butter.
Yep, this is not going to be so subtle.
Wow. Oh, at the very end is an extremely complex, musty hay, I mean, you really get the very last thing at the end is a very deep umami flavor.
Yeah.
Grain-fed dairy products, the stuff most of us get at the grocery store, tastes okay. Pasture and grass-fed dairy tastes extraordinary. That's why it's the milk of choice for Wisconsin's most obsessive compulsive cheesemakers. I'll be visiting one of the most obsessive, working in his underground bunker like a Dairyland Frankenstein.
All this stuff is alive. We're not alone here.
And later, I'll be out on the water with some of the last of Wisconsin's Great Lakes fishermen. And cooking up the catch with one of the few guys who still has the guts to cook fish the old-fashioned way.
This is some kind of odd connective tissue, part of the
Fish maw, the stomach.
Wisconsin offers fertile ground for countercultural rebels. Bluemont Dairy's Willie Lehner is a hard-working New Age hippie who took his farm off the grid 11 years ago, devoting it to self-sustaining artisanal food production. That means generating his own power, growing his own food, and building his own cheese cave. He dug 30 feet down into the limestone earth and erected a 1,600 square foot cellar.
And you got a pretty rockin' cool cave here.
Yeah, the first cheeses went in 2007, so I've been using it for 5 years now.
This underground environment is the ideal place to age cheese. He's also an affineur, a master in the art of aging cheese, a process that's integral to the creation of world-class fromage.
Ah, smell that smell. I love that smell.
This part of the cave houses washed rind cheeses. The humidity stays between 96 and 98%, but it doesn't feel wet because it's a cool 55 degrees. High humidity creates a comfortable place for the bacterial growth. the key to controlled spoilage.
So we want those yeast and the bacteria to be very happy, and they want that kind of humidity so that they can grow and then provide the cheese a lot of flavor.
Right. I mean, all this stuff is alive.
Totally alive.
We're not alone here.
Every single piece of cheese in this room, there's just a multitude of organisms growing on the cheese, some that we don't even know about yet.
I love that.
Yeah. So why don't we just take this guy here? So you can eat the rind on this, or you can leave it.
Washed rind cheeses, I eat them.
I do too.
This is cheese made from sheep's milk, harvested from a flock that's 99% grass-fed.
That's extraordinary. The rind on it has a really noble funk. That's the only way to describe it. Just has a great grass flavor. It's rich, and then it's not rich. It's got a wonderful dance across the mouth.
So this is what sheep's milk can do. Now, I'll show you what pasture-grazed cow's milk can become.
Wow, this is a whole new smell.
Yeah.
Because it's not bacteria influencing this cheese, it's mold. The wheels are wrapped in a thick muslin cloth. That's actually what the mold grows on. And the cloth helps to slow, but not stop, the influx of cheese mites.
It's a very natural part of maturing cheese. They give off enzymes, which is cheese mite dung, right?
Yes.
And they give flavor.
Why is it that I like all the cheeses that have little bugs that take craps in it? It's got a wonderful sort of sweet-sour aroma there, very nutty background, and here, it's got all of that funky, moldy stuff.
Try that.
Wow. It's like toast, toffee.
Toffee.
It's almost a caramely toffee sort of sweetness at times.
And it's clean. I don't detect any off flavors in it.
No, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Thanks.
Willie is part of a growing army of guerrilla warriors campaigning to make food that's fresh, local, and tastes like Wisconsin. You can find a lot of his fellow soldiers here at the Madison Farmers Market.
It's kind of a big list.
That includes one of Wisconsin's most famous chefs, a Korean-born culinarian whose respect for all things local is second to none.
You gonna give me a little big smooch? I brought some cheese for you. Oh, mama.
Each market morning, Chef Troy Miller makes the rounds on the Capitol Square. This James Beard Award winner is the chef partner of L'Etoile and Gray's restaurants, conveniently located side by side and sharing a common kitchen.
I'm obsessed with the taste of place, the untapped resources of Wisconsin. There's so many up-and-coming farms and producers and purveyors.
What about the new trend of Mohawked Asians and old, bald, fat Jews representing the Midwest?
That's what we got. This is like a poster right here. It's like Midwest.
Coming at you, yo.
Miller was born in Asia, but raised a meat and potatoes Wisconsinite. Shortly after high school, he headed to the French Culinary Institute, then world-class restaurants like 11 Madison Park in New York, before returning to his roots.
All right, cook.
Part of Miller's genius is what he creates with the local fare. This chicken and lettuce mayonnaise soup is a fancy dish inspired by, of all things, a drive-through sandwich that sat for too long in a car. I am not kidding, and we all know what that tastes like.
I got a drive-through like fried chicken sandwich, and like all the cheese, lettuce, and mayo all kind of melted together.
Yeah.
And then
It's interesting, though, how ideas like that in little moments do spark incredible creativity in chefs.
Miller captures the flavor of an old chicken sandwich using ingredients like house-made smoked pork kielbasa stuffed with cheese, baby leaf lettuce, and 15-year-old aged cheddar.
I mean, just so you know, you're going to get 1, 3, and 5-year cheddar. You're lucky if you see 10.
I really thought Miller was messing with me when he said he was serving up mayonnaise soup.
And then this is just like a regular homemade mayo. It's got, you know, egg yolks, mustard, the usual. I don't know, I always think about this dish, you know, and I was like, can we cook the mayo? Will it hold together? And then, so we just went for it, and it worked out.
Like many creative types, Miller operates by the Wayne Gretzky principle. You miss 100% of the shots you never take. He's a risk taker. Chicken thigh meat is brined and bathed in buttermilk, then dredged in seasoned flour and fried. He melts the cheese in warmed house-made mayo, adds the sausage and grilled lettuce, garnishes the dish with the fried chicken, and then tops it all with a lettuce puree.
We would come out to your table.
Right.
and we would present it as such. And it's green and gold like my Packers, so I know you'll love it.
Seriously, what the They're not even like a professional football team. The community owns them, and their colors are green and yellow.
I'm the owner.
Are you one of the owners?
Purple, let's not go there. I'm telling you right now. Yeah, this is gonna be a fight.
Side note, Wisconsinites are fiercely devoted to their Packers, and I'm a transplanted Giants fan in Viking land. So how does Miller's colorful homage taste?
Drive-through chicken sandwich. Hey, that's Wisconsin right there.
To capture that flavor, you've got the cooked lettuce does it perfectly, because that's really what's happened when you leave it in the car, right? Sausage is delicious. The grilled lettuce that goes in there is perfect, gives it that smoky flavor to back up the sausage. The genius in this is that cheddar, because it makes it taste a little turned in a good way.
Exactly.
Mayo soup is a menu item, but Miller frequently comes up with new dishes on a whim, like this raw cheesesteak sandwich featuring Willie's bandaged cheddar.
It makes me see and smell and taste Willie, not in a weird way.
No, I totally get that.
Miller again takes no shortcuts, making homemade mayonnaise by whisking locally sourced sunflower into duck eggs and pickled ramps.
You are an excellent thin string pourer.
Thank you very much.
The bone marrow of Scottish Highland beef is rendered down.
All of our beef comes from one farm.
And the New York strip thinly sliced, tossed together with radishes, parsley, salt and pepper, and served with fresh bread.
Wow, this just looks absolutely beautiful. You got 4 or 5 of my favorite ingredients in there. The flavor that I wasn't counting on the most, that I actually love the most, which is that sunflower oil. It stays throughout the whole bite, and it ties everything up. It plays really nicely off the marrow.
And this is, to me, what it's all about here in Wisconsin, is that taste of place, recognizing the flavor of the meat and the flavor of the cheese.
From the milk to the cheese to the plate, this is the best in Wisconsin.
1, 2, 3.
And this is a classic Wisconsin fish boil.
Stop, drop, roll.
Lake Michigan is one of Wisconsin's greatest natural resources. It channeled European explorers and immigrants to its shores along the peninsula and provided a bountiful harvest of native fish.
There was more fish in the lake than there'll ever be again.
Yep.
Today, most of the native fish are gone or severely depleted by overfishing and the invasion of exotic nuisances like alewives, sea lamprey, and zebra mussels. Those species compete for food and alter the ecosystem. The harbor city of Two Rivers was built on commercial fishing. 70 years ago, 35 fishing vessels were based here. Today, there are 2. Both of them are operated by 4th-generation fishermen Jeremy and John Kulpa and their uncle Kenneth.
We're basically the last boat other than my brother, and that's it.
Being a fisherman on the Great Lakes means long days, brutal winters, and precious little income. One of the few fish left for commercial fishermen to harvest is the Great Lakes whitefish. To catch them, fishermen set trap nets 600 feet wide and 1,500 feet long.
Are you up high enough, boys?
Yes. It's an ingenious system. The net in the water is a giant floating box. You have a mouth. They pull the mouth onto the boat and then just keep pulling the net. Yeah. So all the fish in this giant box of a net are just pushed further and further to the back of the net until you start bringing them into the boat.
The net pulls in whatever happens to be swimming nearby, including a living reminder of how things used to be.
Oh, come on!
This is a lake trout.
What a beauty!
Today, the Department of Natural Resources stocks 1 million lake trout a year into Lake Michigan, just enough for sport fishing.
I love this fish.
But not for commercial fishing. What is left for the pros is one of the world's most underappreciated finned creatures, the whitefish.
This is one of the truly delicious fish of the world. You can broil them, you can grill them, you can saute them, you can smoke them, you can pickle them.
It's a keeper if it's 17 inches or longer.
See, tail off the end of the board.
We score just 1 box from this net. We gut them on the boat and save the livers for later. We haul them back to Susie Q Fish Company, the last commercial fishing processor left on this part of the lake, and the last place locals can buy fresh whitefish for a long-standing Door County tradition, the outdoor fish boil. Immigrant fishermen brought the practice with them from Scandinavia, using the onboard stove to boil up some of the day's catch along with a few potatoes. The outdoor fish boil has come ashore in the modern era. Two Rivers firefighter Kevin Sear heads the department's annual fish boil fundraiser. Most Fridays, he fires up the kettle for the fellas at the firehouse. Occasionally, extra guests like the police chief, city manager, and retired firefighters wander in to feast and chew the fat. 7 gallons of water and 3.5 pounds of salt are heated in a cast iron kettle over a wood fire. Potatoes, onions, and carrots are lowered into the boiling water. The whitefish is cut into small chunks and lowered on top of the vegetables.
We got a little double-decker.
No, it's what you gotta do.
Once the fish oils rise to the top of the pot, the boil becomes exciting for the crowd to watch and slightly dangerous. The lads insist I'm outfitted in safety gear in case I do something wrong.
We're gonna put some kerosene on the fire.
Right.
The goal is to get the oil and the scales and the gross stuff off the top of the...
Right, because that floats to the surface.
Yep.
And there's a neat little Midwestern firehouse trick.
Yep.
If for some reason I turn into a human firework, stop, drop, roll.
You gonna remember that, Andrew?
I am gonna remember that.
Make sure when you do this, you're gonna have to back up fast.
Stand aside, citizen.
1, 2, 3.
That's all it is.
That was awesome.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now tell your kids not to play with fire.
Don't ever do that again. But see, best of all, it actually works.
They cleaned all the stuff off the top for
Yeah,
you.
well, there's a I mean...
That's minor.
My work here is done.
Look at that, huh?
It's a simple but absolutely delicious plate full of flavor.
That whitefish is so fantastic. It's firm, it's clean, it's not fishy at all. Not at all. That's as fine a fish to eat as there is.
And there's more than one way to cook them. Retired firefighter Claude Richmond used to make fish in the guts for his colleagues at the firehouse. It's the easiest, and some would add, not the most appetizing way of cooking whitefish. Claude uses the whole fish, guts them, leaving all the entrails at the bottom of the pan.
And what does cooking them on top of the guts do?
You gotta cook fish in oil or something, there's oil in the guts. And
That's a very good point. I mean, this is clearly from a bygone era where you need to keep things super simple, super fast.
Yeah, they used to make them on the manifold in the boats.
Is that true?
That is true.
God,
They put
Not everyone eats the digestive tract. Some just go for the meat, or the eggs and the liver.
These are supposed to be good too, the eggs. There's caviar.
my favorite part's a little overcooked, but you know.
That's
very good. This is some kind of odd connective tissue part of the fish maw, the stomach.
That's the liver there.
Oh my God, that's delicious. But I'd rather eat the poached eggs and the liver on this fish than the fillet.
Really?
To me, the great benefit is that all of these little bits of fish offal are basically cooked in its own fat.
We save the best bits for last. Fish livers, floured and fried.
It's like candy.
They're soft and sweet and buttery, and they don't have any of that metallic flavor that a lot of hoofed animal organ meats have.
I was just gonna say, like a cow.
Mm-hmm. That's exceptional, really exceptional.
Hanging on to a tradition takes work, whether it's the guys at the Two Rivers Firehouse or a house in the suburbs of Milwaukee where the kitchen is a little piece of Serbia. But the kids just don't want to eat their heart, lung, spleen casserole.
The minute you throw rice in it is when it starts to become an American farmhouse casserole. Smells fantastic.
Greater Milwaukee is shaped by its immigrants: German, Polish, Italian, and Serbian. Serbs first settled here in the early 1900s. Now, it's got one of the largest Serbian enclaves in America. Zoran and Maria Buganovic raised their family in the countryside southwest of Milwaukee. They strive to keep Serbian homeland traditions alive while raising kids who are fully assimilated to American life. Today, they host 50 of their closest family and friends to celebrate their daughter Nellie's 21st birthday.
Nice to meet you.
Serbian tradition to kiss 3 times.
It was actually Nellie's wish to celebrate with a traditional Serbian feast. Her favorite, and the featured item on the menu, is roasted lamb.
New generation tends to shy away from some of the foods that we traditionally ate when we came. You know, we're all immigrants here, you know, and we all had kids that were born in this country. And, you know, once they're introduced to fast food, it's hard to bring them back to...
What's on the menu today is far from fast food. Preparation starts with the sunrise as Zoran and a friend head to a neighbor's farm to cull the animal. Roasted lamb is a staple at Easter and special occasions.
Very much.
Zoran and his pals dress the beast, saving the small intestines, lungs, spleen, liver, and heart for Zoran's special dish. They fit the carcass onto the spit, set it over wood and hot coals to turn.
See, the best part of these types of cookouts is not necessarily the eating, it's the arguing as you set up the lamb to spin.
And while the men are busy with the meat, the women prep side dishes and bake fresh pastries.
You know, make it even so it doesn't crack.
Grandma Milka, proudly wearing her Serbian flag apron, directs her daughter-in-law and granddaughter on the right way to stretch filo, or as the Serbians call it, kore dough. Kore is paper-thin, unleavened pastry made with flour, water, and salt. It can be stuffed and rolled with fruit, meat, or cheese. It's a staple in the Serbian diet. When it's rolled and coiled, it's called a pita. This is a family of Serbian Wisconsinites, so naturally, this is a cheese pita. It's loaded with cottage cream and feta cheeses, eggs, and melted butter. A well-coordinated lift of the tablecloth, and the dough rolls into a long log to be coiled into the baking pan.
Oh, get out of town.
All right.
And it's done. Now we gotta get the pan right into
This
the
is
pan.
genius.
Bring it closer this way. There we go. Clean up
Put a
the table.
little butter on top and that's it. Ready to go.
By the way, we don't need any help. You guys keep texting or whatever it is you do.
Fresh out of the oven, the warm pastry makes a great appetizer while we wait for the meat to roast.
What do you think?
That's terrible. Seriously, we're gonna have to run this by our test center. So that's like rolled like 30 times. You can taste every layer.
First thing you want to...
Zoran's specialty is called sarmica, a casserole-style dish featuring lamb organ meats. His kids won't eat it, but he still wants to teach his daughter Lily how to prepare it.
Oh, so now it's inside out.
The intestines, liver, lungs, heart, and spleen are all cleaned, boiled, minced. He adds the sliced organ meats to sauteed onions and leeks, then tosses in some rice.
It'll be interesting to see once, you know, my children have their homes and their lives, what they consider that Serbian food is.
Yeah, it's nice to see everybody watching Grandma roll the pita.
Zoran wraps the mixture in the mesentery, part of the lamb's stomach wall, and tops it with beaten egg.
He's the maestro for this. This is not anything that I've ever made by myself, and I've never even tried it.
This is a guy's dish.
Yeah.
Girls make, they bake. Make gross stuff, they bake.
There you go. That's our goal.
Way to go, pal. You just set the women's rights movement back about 40 years in this country.
It's finally time to eat. The ladies have laid out a Wisconsin Serb smorgasbord with the lamb organ casserole, pig's feet jello, Serb salad, cheese pita, the lovely roasted lamb, and deviled eggs.
Can you have a meal in Wisconsin without deviled eggs?
You can, but
You're
not
lying.
today.
Liar.
As the patriarch, Grandpa Bogolyub gets dibs on the lamb's eyeball. Traditional dishes like sarmitsa are a tough sell to the kids.
Smells fantastic.
It is. For all fall, it doesn't have that barnyard smell. It's
Wow.
A little bit salty.
It's delicious. It's so mild. It almost tastes like hazelnuts. I mean, the onions are beautiful. I love it with the caul fat leeks. I mean, this is stunning.
Yep.
The lamb brain is saved for last.
It's rich, it's elegant. Quite frankly, kind of the way the tongue got aromatized by all the smoke cooking inside the head and all that roasted flavor that comes up from inside it. It's just absolutely fantastic. It's cooked perfectly. It's your birthday. You want the rest of the brain?
I'm okay.
Yeah. So it skips a generation.
You can't force the kids to embrace the food of their forefathers, but in this family, they do have a deep respect for it. And the kids happily put down their cell phones to enjoy the traditional Serbian circle dance.
I'm a really lousy Serb.
Large, loud, proud, and loving, enriching the American lifestyle with their own traditions, food, and culture. And there's this bird that looks like an ostrich and puts some strange-looking food on the table.
Wow. Please forgive me. I had no idea that an emu had black balls.
Nestled among these rolling hills in far southwestern Wisconsin is Betty Lou Kaufman and her flock of 150 emu. She's raised the birds since 1994.
When you first started, did people say you're crazy?
Well, they still do.
Emus are native to Australia, where Aborigines for centuries have used emu oil for medicinal purposes. In the 1930s, emus made the trip across the pond as exotic zoo animals. Soon after, emu fanatics experimented with farming the birds, partly as a new source for providing lean meat.
The pursuit of alternative proteins, raising of alternative livestock, trying to diversify our dinner table, those are really, really noble pursuits.
I agree. And I actually got into this for the oil.
Emu oil comes from a thick pad of fat on the back of the bird. It's a prized ingredient in cosmetics and some health remedies. Betty Lou makes her own oil products and sells wholesale and retail.
See you later, emu.
That's all fine, but my curiosity about the meat is redlining. Betty Lou gets her emu processed at Craig's Meats. The butcher is Gary Craig. He makes a wide range of emu sticks and jerky, and a real treat, pickled emu heart.
I love the heart. The heart's an underrated piece of meat on any animal.
Yes, it is.
Tastes like pickled beef.
Yeah.
You can still see that thin little line of red meat in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it hasn't over-cured. It's delicious.
The meat sticks are lean and have a great mouthfeel. Craig makes a wide range of fruit flavors, and unbelievably, there's no added fat.
I'm in Wisconsin. I'm going cranberry maple. What, are you kidding me? Oh, that's a nice stick. Look at that. It's not too dry. It's extraordinary. This one, honey and blueberries.
Yes, it is.
That's out of sight.
Thank you.
Let me go out on a limb. Wisconsin blueberries?
Yes. I enjoy going to the extreme.
Is this you guys about as excited as you get? Like inside on a molecular level, there's a lot of jumping up and down and smiling and excitement.
I don't want to do that on the outside.
Gary may be the subtlest enthusiastic person I've ever met, but the man can make a mean emu meat stick. I'm still a bit of a skeptic if emu can become a legitimate alternative meat source. So he's grilled up every part of the bird. Why he's doing it on foil, I have no idea.
Kidneys?
No.
Testicles?
Testicles.
I've never had a grilled emu testicle before.
It's kind of an uneven-looking pair.
Yes, it is.
This is an anatomical curiosity.
Yes.
Wow. Please forgive me. I had no idea that an emu had black balls. I did not. It's unexpected. Almost every animal in the world has almost uniquely cream-colored on the inside. Oh, great. They taste like kidneys.
Unlike other poultry, all emu meat comes off of its legs. There's virtually nothing on the breast. 25 to 40 pounds of meat can be taken from a mature bird, and just like beef, there are different names for the cuts. This is a bell steak.
That right there just melts in your mouth. The flavor's so clean. The finish on it is fantastic. It doesn't feel too grainy. It's grainy because it doesn't have fat in it.
This cut is called a flat.
How much of your job is education to get people into this? Because once they taste it, they got to be sold. Like, hey, I'd do this.
I give away a lot of free samples.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you can see here the grain on the protein is completely different than the other cut here, right?
Yes, these are your more expensive cuts right here.
I'd be the first one to say this is a gimmick. But after eating the meat, emu's legit. Betty Lou and Gary are part of a small but growing alternative protein movement. The odd emu has a long way to go to become America's next red meat, but you have to applaud them for trying.
And tell people to buy more emu.
Buy more emu.
There's another movement out here in small-town Wisconsin challenging notions about what kind of meat goes on the table, both how it gets there.
We really try to institute a sense of reverence.
And which parts to use.
We made something called Awful Tasty, which is what's called the guts. Kidney.
God bless you.
In Black Earth, Wisconsin, you can find one of the last village-based slaughterhouses in America, run by a guy who may be America's only Zen butcher. And the only slaughterhouse I know where they welcome the public coming in to see firsthand where their meat is coming from.
Now, I told someone the other day, if I couldn't do this operation with glass walls, I didn't want to do it. Right.
Bartlett Durand is a lawyer and practicing Buddhist. Once a vegetarian, Bartlett decided his body needed more protein, but his Buddhist beliefs demanded the animal sacrificed to provide meat had to be treated with respect. The only way to guarantee that was to take care of it himself.
We really try to institute a sense of reverence.
Yeah.
Because there's the difference between killing and a sacrifice. So all our guys, we've really trained in that, not only the animal handling, but how to feel about it.
And I guess that's a very important part of working on a regular basis, too, for the psychology of your employee, but also from a company-wide integrity standpoint.
So that sense of reverence and what I call owning your karma is absolutely critical to me. Sure.
Instead of hundreds of animals being herded through chutes to slaughter, at Black Earth, animals are put down one at a time using a captive bolt gun. Supervised by head butcher Scott Evanson, each animal is harvested and processed one at a time, up to an average of 25 beef or 75 hogs a day, by skilled butchers using hand tools. Here at Black Earth, every cut of meat becomes a very personal transaction, from animal to butcher to consumer. Even the requisite USDA inspection acquires a personal touch.
I have one inspector who's almost part of the team.
Correct.
Standing here watching every single animal.
Yep.
Where a large operation may have 17 inspectors, but one is doing nothing but checking the liver. One's doing nothing but the animal's alive. How they deal with a problem, cross-checking, I don't know.
This is a quiet revolution in progress, a rebellion against the modern centralized meat industry, with its assembly line methods putting quantity and cost efficiency above quality. And because he operates in small quantities, Bartlett can rely exclusively on local farms raising grass-fed or organic livestock. The high quality of the meat is evident by its lean muscle and richly colored fat. And you'll just have to trust me that it has a sweet, sweet smell.
Oh, well, that's what we get used to eating.
Yeah.
I go to the grocery store and look at the meat case just so I can have something to laugh at while I'm there.
Respecting the animals we eat also means wasting as little as possible of what they provide. Bartlett's Buddhist waste not, want not principles guided him to create a product from the bits you don't often see in the meat case.
So he made something called Awful Tasty, O-F-F-A-L.
Right.
Which is what's called the guts.
Does it have liver in it?
Has liver in it.
Does it have heart in it?
It has heart and it has kidney.
God bless you.
First ingredient is lean beef.
Added to the 35% lean beef are beef kidneys, tongue, livers, and hearts.
To me, right here, this bin represents the health, wellness, and the democratization of the food movement.
The mixture is ground 2 or 3 times, then dumped into the packing machine.
You can see the beef, you can see the tongue, you can see the darkness of the liver. Kidney's the only that's really hidden in this product.
10% of the shop's offal, or organ meats, are used in this specialty product. 85% goes out the door to be used in pet foods. And the remaining 5% is put to good use by employees who buy it at cost and share dishes at the occasional potluck held at the park next door.
This is Alberto's blood sausage. We got a couple kinds of scrapple, sweetbreads, the beef tongue, some just regular beef in there, and some bacon and pork.
Alberto's blood sausage is a time-consuming version, made with pork intestines and stomach.
That blood is from the pig that we just killed yesterday in the morning. You cannot get fresher than that.
Well, you could if you just... It's just so clean. All you smell is a wonderful sort of roast pork aroma, even though it's just been cooked in a pot.
Yeah.
You see this a lot in fancy restaurants. A lot of chefs are trying to get back into using the whole animal. They should all go to your house and get a lesson in how to do this.
The Awful Tasty beef organ mixture was made into a scrapple, seasoned with parsley and cornmeal, set overnight in a mold, and then fried in butter.
The Awful Tasty, yeah, is awfully good. Even for me, surprisingly, is not the least bit organy.
Yeah.
At all.
Oh, no, it's not.
It's world class.
We might just be better off having 10,000 small companies like this provide meat to America rather than 5 or 6 companies who currently provide up to 75% of our meat. The hope is that shrinking the food chain back to a local level will simultaneously bring reverence and connection back to our dinner tables. The people I met in Wisconsin could live by the motto, Back to the Future. Science, spirit, and some quirky individuality are inspiring the return or the reinvention or the rediscovery of traditional foodways, pointing a way forward to happier, healthier, tastier eating. So when you're in Wisconsin, if it looks good, eat it.